بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وتابعين وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Should I unmute myself? That would seem sensible. Or is it okay through you? Don't unmute myself. Okay, let's go with that. So we're going through a text, The Laws of Fasting. This is written by my teacher, Sheikh Tabriz. It's quite long, quite lengthy. And so we'll get through what we get through. It covers everything. So please don't ask, like, how do you fix a fast? Because there's a section for it, like in the first page, as it were. But, you can ask whatever you want, inshallah. How many of you have studied, like, a text, then a matan on something? Okay, nice. Like, in what? What have you studied? Like, what matan? Like, what text? Like, do you remember the name? The author? Okay. You didn't say the text. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. Okay, while she looks for it, what did you study? With? You did the whole thing? Okay. Who else studied something? Yes. Okay. Okay, good. This is good. Then you guys will be kind of used to this stuff. Those of you who haven't studied the text, it's quite technical, as it were. A lot of commentary is required, so I'll break down each line. I can't share this PDF with you because this book isn't published yet. Like, it's unpublished. It's going to be published in the future, inshallah. Nonetheless, most of the masail are similar across the madhahib. I'll mention when the Shafi'i differ and whatnot. There are some critical points when they do. Okay. We're good to go? Are you still standing up here? Are you still standing up here? You can just join me. Go on. Just bring a seat. If you want to sit right here. So, okay. I apologize in advance if I sound tired, because I am. Okay. We're all fasting. So, Bismillah, he says, fasting is to abstain, imsak, actually or effectively, from eating or drinking anything whatsoever, deliberately or accidentally. I'll explain everything in a second. Or entering anything into the body cavity via any other recognized orifice, or from fulfilling one's sexual desire, actually or effectively, from true dawn fajr until sunset maghrib, with an intention niyyah of worship by somebody who has legal capacity to fast. So that's quite loaded. This is the nature of mutun. Like, this is effectively an English version of an Arabic, a classical Arabic matan. They're quite packed like this. So he says fasting is to abstain. So abstain, i.e. abstain from eating, drinking, and intimacy with one spouse. Actually, with anyone, really. Right? It's just for that caveat. Intimacy with anyone, even oneself. Actually or effectively. So actually, to abstain from eating and drinking is to not eat and drink and not to engage in intimacy. Effectively, now, is in the case such that someone engages forgetfully. So if someone engages forgetfully or eats forgetfully, we say they're still effectively fasting, even though literally they're no longer fasting, as it were. But someone forgetfully fasting is excusable. They're effectively fasting now from eating or drinking anything whatsoever, deliberately or accidentally. So deliberately means that when I am eating or drinking, I know at this moment I am fasting. This is deliberately. Accidentally means I know I am fasting, but I thought the fast was over. I thought the fast was over. So for example, we're sitting here and it hits 6:15, for example, and someone assumes, oh, it's Maghrib now, and they start eating and drinking. This is to accidentally eat or drink. Why is it not forgetful? This is different than forgetful, because forgetful is you forgot you were fasting. Accidentally now is you know you're fasting, yet you ate and drank thinking that the fast had come to an end. This invalidates the fast. Right? So if you thought Maghrib came in, but your clock wasn't updated to time, and it wasn't Maghrib, it's Asr, This invalidates the fast because you knew you were fasting and you ate intentionally. However, the fast was still ongoing. The other case of accidentally eating is in the case where someone thinks they've broken their fast, but they actually haven't broken their fast. So now if someone is to eat or drink accidentally, and they say, oh, you know what, fast is done anyways, and then they proceed to eat and drink deliberately, this is considered accidental eating and drinking. Why? Because they had they were confused. They were confused. Good? Questions? This is how it's going to be. Yeah. Accidental invalidates. Forgetful is excusable, even if you had like a 5-course meal. Like someone had like the appetizer, then entree part 1, entree part 2, main course, steak, dessert, and then after dessert, chai, and then biscuits and whatever. And they like afterwards they're like, oh, I was fasting. Nah, no, they say, no problem. They say if you see someone now eating and drinking, and they're a healthy person, then you have to stop them. You have to say, hey, you're fasting. However, if the person is old and frail, as it were, then they're like, look away. Like if they forgot, you kind of look away, and then afterwards you can perhaps remind them. But there's hikmah in that because they're old, they're frail, they might need it, as it were. Okay, anything? Yes. So effectively is now. So the first line, effectively, he's just adding this here to include the person who forgetfully eats, because actually is you didn't eat anything from sunrise to sunset or fajr to sunset. Effectively is you ate something, you did it forgetfully, so you're still effectively fasting. This is how the fuqaha speak. Fuqaha are very technical, as it were. Okay, entering anything into the body cavity via any recognized orifice. Sorry, my throat's been like terrible for like weeks. There's no water right now, so just like a little bit. Entering anything into the body cavity via any other recognized orifice. What does this mean? Any opening on the body which leads into a body cavity, as it were. If anything enters in there, literally anything, like a rock, smoke, this breaks the fast. This breaks the fast. What is a recognized orifice? This includes the nose, the ears, the nose and the mouth, in the condition that it passes the throat, the ears, with some debate, the anus, the anal opening, and the vaginal opening. So if anything enters the body in any of these places and remains therein, and it's not connected to something external, this breaks the fast. Yes. Yeah. So just the idea that if someone, okay, yeah, so someone forgetfully, let's say some youngster, he drank some water. It's like his first time fasting properly. He just became baligh last year, and he became baligh, so he's fasting now. And he drank water forgetfully. So he thought, oh, I drank water, it's over now. But this is excusable because he forgot. But he thinks he broke his fast. So now he eats anyways. He drinks anyways. Now this actually breaks his fast. And this would require a makeup. Yes. So who wants to see my face? 7 people. What are you people online for, huh? You know being online is a rukhsa. What's your excuse? All this online stuff. Who's your sheikh? This online guy. He doesn't even know you exist. Anyways. Now I have to like open this chat and see anyone has questions. If I don't notice, are you guys on Zoom? Can you guys let me know if I don't notice like a question? Okay. Where were we? No other question. Hmm? Yeah, we talked about that. Very good. Okay. So anything entering the body cavity via any other recognized orifice. So the ears, there's some debate because in modern times, the scientific community will tell you that the ears don't connect. There's no connection to the throat or the stomach. So this is a consideration. So you'll find some ulama speak like this, that does it actually enter the body in terms of its stomach, benefiting the body, or is it just in the body? The traditional ulama made no distinction of this. They never made a distinction between it entering the stomach or not entering the stomach. It was just, does it enter the body? So those who are more classical will tell you, for example, eardrops would break the fast. Why? Because it goes into the body, it remains within. The cavities, as it were, are considered the head and the torso. So anything which enters the torso, chest, stomach area, or the head, this would be considered now breaking the fast. They say even if now someone had a hole on the side of their like abdomen because they were stabbed, and something went through this hole into the body and remained within, this would break the fast. However, now in modern day, all these ulama are saying like, okay, but medically speaking, this is not connected, this doesn't benefit you in health and all this kind of stuff. So like these are now like, we would say fatwa. If you want to take the fatwa, it's up to you. Right? Classically, however, the ulama would say anything enters the body, fast broken. Whether it is connected to the throat or not. Like eye goes into the ears, fast broken. Is that clear? That was like an ikhtilaf, mukhtalafi issue. If you've never studied this before, it's going to be a little bit overwhelming. That's okay. Just study it again sometime, inshallah. Fulfilling one's sexual desire actually or effectively, actually is intercourse. So intercourse is, I have to be explicit here, is the entrance of the male genitalia, the head, into the vaginal cavity, or into the rear, as it were. Disappearance of the male organ is actual intercourse, not ejaculation. So just doing this would result in the fast breaking and you having to do the expiation, which is 60 days. 60 days of fasting. People who have done 60 days have told me it's really tough. So don't mess around. This is also why we say get married after Ramadan. Or effectively, what's effectively? Effectively is anything else. So masturbation, or looking at something, or anything, kissing your wife or something, or your spouse, anything which would lead to ejaculation, this is effectively fulfilling one's desire. This would not require expiation. This requires only, this doesn't require kafara. It only requires the qada. Meaning you just have to make up this fast. Yes. Yeah, kissing is fine. I said masturbation from kissing. So kissing, anything, any kind of touch, looking, audible. Okay, let's make this clear. So the issue is the ejaculation. Anything which leads to ejaculation, if it's physical, like kissing, this would be a problem. This would break the fast. But if someone was kissing their spouse, as it were, without ejaculation, this is fine. This is fine. Similarly, if someone touched their spouse in other places and it still led to ejaculation, this would still require a law. But if someone now ejaculated purely based off of visual or audible stimuli, this would not require anything. The fast is valid. And if someone had a wet dream, this has no consequence. Okay, from true dawn, Fajr, until Maghrib. So true dawn is in opposition to false dawn. So when the sun rises now, the sun rises, you're going to see a vertical light rise from the horizon. This is known as the false dawn. Preceding this, after this now, there is the true dawn, which is horizontal light, which then spreads upwards. So this horizontal light is what we effectively consider to be Fajr. Not false dawn, but true dawn. Up until Maghrib. So what's Maghrib? It is when the disk of the sun disappears entirely at the horizon. So what's horizon? Sea level. If you have like a mountain in your perspective, like in front of you, you'd have to consider now what the actual descent would be. There's a controversy here, which I'm not going to bring up unless someone asks. Yeah. I'm fairly certain Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they all say Maghrib. No one says delay. Like, I mean, obviously, like if someone takes like 10 seconds or 1 minute or 2 minutes because they were somewhere else, like this is obviously excusable. But there's no such thing as delaying it past Maghrib. It is Maghrib. They even say that you do not pray the Maghrib before you break the fast. Like eat your date or have your water, then pray Maghrib. Yes. Yeah, because why would you delay? Like the what's expected from you at Maghrib is to break your fast. Nothing else. Then you pray. But no one is saying you sit there and have like 2 plates of biryani and whatever you guys want. It's breaking your fast. Yeah. So at least be makruh at the bare minimum. Like this would your Shafi'i. Okay, Hanafi's makruh is basically sinful. Like it's deficient. Your fast is deficient. You've lost reward. If you do this on purpose, you've unnecessarily delayed the fast. This was only possible for the Prophet ﷺ. Only he fasted consecutively, like post Maghrib into the next day. It's not allowed for anyone else. And I believe some of the like our Shi'i brothers, they delay something like this. They have a delay of the fast. So in this case, we would also not want to delay fast because it would be semblance, right? We don't want semblance between something like that. Question. The best thing. So by the way, you are liable about your fast. So you can't just be like, oh, mashallah, this app, the prayer app told me that Maghrib was right now, so I broke my fast, but I can literally see the sun outside. Like this is foolishness, as it were. This is foolishness. You are required to ascertain to some level of certainty when the sunset is. So this is probably the best like time calculation for prayers that I've come across. So if you look at this now. Okay. So this is quite good because it tells you down to like a specific location. Like this is by coordinates, right? You can literally put your coordinates in here, put your address and find your house and put it there. Okay. So it has a bunch of calculations here. Just go calculate. It'll give you everything. If you're curious to know how everything is calculated, you just click on it. It'll tell you exactly what things are. And the documentation is very clear. It's very good. Okay. So look, there are default settings. You have to play around with things. So Fajr, he has 19 degrees. So this is quite a bit. He has 16 for Isha. And then he has a level of uncertainty for the Maghrib. So if you look at Maghrib now, he says plus or minus 1 degree. So this is a little bit higher than 0 degrees, obviously. So 727 is with the additional buffer, which is not needed, as we said. The actual time would be 19 or 721 here. No, that's minus 719. Let's see what it says here. Let's put this to 0. The date's right. I put this to 0 now. Maghrib, 727. Okay. So it's a little bit technical because there's all these degrees here. You have to kind of set it up accordingly. But once you do that, this is really useful, extremely useful. So you can go with this. And usually the sunset calculation is quite accurate. As long as you have your particular location, it's pretty accurate. The only consideration now is Mississauga, Brampton, Toronto are quite large regions. So if your app is generalizing for your entire region and it's not considering your physical coordination, like your postal code, this might be like a minute off the tour. Okay, so this is the best app that I found. It's Muqit. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, no one asked a controversial thing. Good. I don't mind discussing it, but unless it is like we have other things to do, right? Yes. Yeah. It's just when the disk of the sun disappears beyond the horizon. So the entire disk of the sun is gone beyond the horizon, and actual horizon. Actual horizon is effectively sea level. So we don't really have horizon here, as it were. Like can't see the actual horizon. You have to go to like Lake Ontario, and you have to angle it properly, and you could see it there. No other questions? Okay, good. Okay, with an intention, niyyah. So you have to have an intention to fast. So there's no such thing as fasting without intention. So like let's say you wake up one day and it's like 4 p.m. You're like, mashallah, I fasted till 4 p.m. I'm gonna fast the Maghrib now. This is not a thing. Okay, it's not a thing. The niyyah has to be present prior to the fast, according to the Shafi'iyah. For the Ahnaf, they say, the Hanafiya, they say that as long as you have made intention prior to midday, Islamic midday, this would be valid. Now, what is an intention? If you have an alarm on your phone, this is intention. If you take out food for support, this is intention. If you thought about fasting tomorrow, this is intention. Like, so now effectively, let's say you wake up in the morning, like discussing intention now. When someone wakes up in the morning and they want to make coffee, do they say, I am going to make coffee downstairs in my kitchen in 2 minutes? Does anyone say this? How do you know you're going to make coffee? It's just a clear determination in your heart, in your mind, as it were. And if someone asks you, what are you doing? I'm making coffee. Where are you going? I'm going to get coffee. This is intention. So do you have to necessarily verbalize intention? No. But if you make this a habit, this is good too, because it saves you problems, as it were. But once again, if you had anything like this, which indicates intention, this suffices. This is why in some of the books you'll see, when they have the dua or iftar, they'll put وَبِصَوْمٍ غَدٍ نَوَيْتُ, which is, I intend to fast tomorrow. Because the intention for the fast is valid from the Maghrib the day before, up until Fajr, for the Shafi'iyah, up until midday for the Ahnaf. The Shafi'iyah say now that if you forgot to make intention and it's like, well, it's before the hard time, then you can just follow the Hanafi opinion. Okay? Or you can make up the fast, it's up to you. We'll talk about specific intention and how it works for Ramadan and whatnot, but you do need intention to fast. Okay? You need intention to fast. By somebody who has the legal capacity to fast, to someone who does not have the legal capacity to fast, it doesn't count. And for example, if a lady is menstruating and she still fasts with all of these conditions, it is not a valid fast, right? Because she does not have legal capacity, as it were. Good? Very good. Conditions. There are 3 types of conditions. We have شروط الوجوب, شروط وجوب الأداء, and شروط صحة وجوب الأداء, or شروط صحة الأداء. So the first one is, who does this issue apply to? Who does it apply to in general? Who has to fast? Who has to pray? Who has to give zakat? This is the first category. The second one now is that within that category, who is it applying to in this moment? It's conceivable now that there are times where this category, it applies to them, other times it doesn't apply to them. And finally, once it applies to someone, what renders the action valid? Okay, so 3 levels. If that's confusing, just know all these have to be fulfilled. That's it. The first one is Islam. So every time your mayor fast with you, like it's nice, but he didn't attain any reward. He has no Islam. He just attained like hunger and thirst, as it were, and tiredness. That's like good. They can do whatever they want. But this is not a Shari'i fast as it was. They're just having some fun. It's like, no, I'm not saying like don't encourage them or anything. Do whatever they want. Like if your friend wants to fast with you and experience Ramadan joy and whatnot, yeah, whatever. But we shouldn't imagine that this is now like a Shari'i fast. Just like if someone now, like your friend Steve wants to pray Salah with you, and he comes and he performs the Salah with wudu. Is this a prayer? No, I'm a prayer. But it felt so good. No one cares about how you felt. This is not a Shari'i prayer. Once again, obviously, however, if someone was sitting here, we would happily encourage them and happily bring them in and let them experience these things. It's like feelings are important at times. Sanity. So you need sanity to fast. If someone became insane during fasting, then it's possible that the fast that they were in counted and the subsequent days wouldn't count because they were insane for the remainder. But what we're looking for really is insanity for the length of time it takes to fast. So basically from Fajr to Maghrib. This is what the necessary amount of sanity would be required. If now they cannot attain sanity to that degree, they would be effectively treated as a child, meaning they don't have to fast. Because why? The shurut al-wujub do not apply in them. They don't manifest. And sanity doesn't mean like as it were, depression, even though those things are important. But sanity here talks about like your ability to have coherence, like you know where the sky is and where the ground is. Right? Things make sense to you, things are normal as it were. But like mental um, disorders we're talking about, actual mental disorders, which have to be then qualified by a psychiatrist, not you and your friend and WebMD or whatever. Puberty. The bulugh is reached by men when they have a wet dream. So when there is the production of sperm, wet dream. Anything before, doesn't matter how big your mustache is, doesn't count. Okay. For ladies, it's going to be the onset of the menstrual cycle. And finally, knowledge of the obligation to fast. This is just a condition for everything. If someone doesn't know they have to do it, conceivably, they will not. They will not do so. Okay, once you have this, who can fast from this category? Someone who has sound health. We'll talk about health in the later on as well. But when you mean health and fasting, what they imagine is that this fast will not affect your health negatively, such that it will not cause or increase illness, nor will it delay recovery. Okay? Nor will it delay recovery. So if those things are not found, then you fast. But now if fasting, like it's possible someone is sick, but they could fast, but doing so would make their sickness prolonged, then this would be excusable. Then they could just not fast. Okay? But someone's just feeling like a little bit of a cold, and fasting would not do anything to them health-wise, then they are obligated to fast. Residency, so someone has to be a resident to fast. So if you are traveling prior to Fajr, then you can forgo the fast. Okay? If you're traveling prior to Fajr, you can forgo the fast. Purity from menstruation and lokia. So menstruation and lokia would be reasonable reasons to not fast, as it no longer applies. Validity of performance. So Islam, intention, purity, and the absence of an invalidator, which we'll see in the upcoming chapters. Questions? Yes. It depends. It depends how much sanity they have. Like if someone's in and out of sanity, then it would depend like um, to what degree of sanity they attain onto. If they now attain enough sanity to make up the fast, then yes. But if they never attain enough sanity to make up the fast, then no. Same thing with the sick person. So let's say you were sick and you missed the last 10 days of Ramadan, and then you had Eid, then you died after Eid. So these 10 days are not due upon you. Why? Because you never had the ability to make up these 10 days. Like the days didn't manifest upon you. That makes sense? Question? Someone had a question here? Yeah. Someone had a question. Okay. Types of fast. Ramadan fast and its makeup are obligatory, they're fard. The expiatory fast and the vowed fast are mandatory. So this expiatory is the fast which you have to do if you really mess up a fard fast. So if you eat on purpose, if you eat drink on purpose, or you have intercourse, then you have to do the expiation, which is 60 days of fasting, or freeing a slave, or feeding 60 poor people 2 meals. For the Ahnaf, they specify fasting first. It's not a choice. The Shafi'iyya say expiation is only for intercourse, nothing else. Vowed fast is like when you say, Ya Allah, if I pass this exam, which I didn't study for, I'll fast for 10 days. This is a vow. Okay? If I marry this person, I'll fast 100 days. Don't do silly things like this, by the way. If you want to fast 100 days, just fast 100 days. Don't like, they say it's not like good at the, like, you can't play like games with God. I'll do this, you give me this. It's not ideal. You just do the worship and you ask for whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give you. Yeah. Consecutive. Even if Eid falls in there. So if you messed up and Eid came in the way, you have to start again. The only excuse is menstruation and lokia. This is the only reasonable excuse to not fast 60 days in consecutive order. But the fast has to continue immediately. So if the lady stopped menstruating on Tuesday, as it were, she has to start again Wednesday. Like immediately, she cannot delay. Yeah. Question? Okay. Well, we'll talk about that in detail later on. There's no section on that. Okay. Fasting the days of Ashura, the day before it or after it, the day of Arafah, 6 days of Shawwal, the day of doubt, Yom Shak. For those who can make a clear intention, Mondays and Thursdays, 3 days of every lunar month, the white days of lunar month, all other days encourage the sacred law is recommended mustahab. So basically, these are recommended days. If someone fasts this is praiseworthy. The day of Ashura should be combined with something before or after it. The 6 days of Shawwal, they say do not do this, ideally consecutively right after Eid. There's a discussion now about, it's a little bit complicated. There's quite a bit of khilaf in this, on how this is done, or should it even be done. But generally speaking, as long as you don't fast on Eid, it's possible. Okay, it's possible. The most expansive opinion, by the way, is that these 6 days manifest in Shawwal, but are not limited to Shawwal. The most widest opinion on this is that it begins in Shawwal, but as long as you finish the 6 fasts before Ramadan, it's still valid. Obviously, the majority is in Shawwal. The day of doubt, Yom Shak. So this is the day after 29th of Sha'ban. So 29th of Sha'ban, it's possible now it can be Ramadan tomorrow, yes? What happens if the sky is overcast and no one can see the moon? This is called Yom Shak. It's possible that this could be Ramadan. So you can fast this, but only with a clear intention. What typically happens is people do this thing where if it's in Ramadan, then I'm fasting a Ramadan fast, and if it's not, I'm not doing an Nafil fast. This is an invalid intention. You cannot do this. You can't pray something. Oh, if it's Zuhr right now, Zuhr, otherwise it's Nafil. This is a nonsensical intention. This is why he says with a clear intention, i.e., someone who can clearly intend the possible 30th of Sha'ban to be Nafil fast, then this is fine to fast. Otherwise, they say don't fast this because of that reason. Doesn't happen anyways now because it's not like we're looking at citing just like in your locality, as it were. Right? You have expansive sightings. The rest of the days here mentioned are recommended. If you look, you can actually find recommendations for almost every single day. Like Monday and Thursday is most famous, and 3 days is lunar month, 13, 14, 15. These things, white days rather. You can find recommendations for Friday even, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on. You can find things like this, right? Friday, they say that if it's not your habit, you should fast something with it, not alone. There's a debate. Anyways, we can't cover everything. Continual fasting, whereby a person does not break the fast between 2 separate days, is offensive makruh, as is singling out Saturdays or the holy days of other religions. So this is now, Maghrib comes, you don't break the fast, you just continue to tomorrow, and now it's Fajr, and you just keep fasting. And the next day you break it, and the next Maghrib. So you fasted now for like 24 hours plus the extra, extra day, whatever that is. Okay, so this is makruh. This is sinful, as it were. Like the fast would be technically valid, but you would also occur onto like deficiency because of this. Fasting on the day of Eid, on the days of Tashriq is impermissible. This is the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, 11, 12, 13. So the only days of, and this is first of Shawwal, only 5 days you cannot fast. This is first of Shawwal, 10th of Dhul Hijjah, two Eids, and then the 3 days after the Eid al-Adha, which is 11, 12, 13, yes. No, this is, I mean, you're Maliki, so if this is something different, it's possible. But in Nana, no, these 5 are not permissible to fast for anyone. Question? You have to wait. You have to wait. So wait after. Yeah, yeah. So there's a discussion about waiting, but you have to now find 60 days in a row, which you can conceivably fast. So if you did this, not in time, and then now it's going to conflict with Eid, yeah, they have to restart. It's bad planning. Yeah, yeah, it's fine. Some scholars didn't like that you do Eid on the first of Shawwal, and then you fast from the second to the seventh in a row, because what happened was some people started thinking that this was wajib and it's connected to Ramadan, and because they don't want to change Ramadan as it was, they said don't do it consecutively right after Ramadan. But this is a very niche thing, and to be honest, nowadays no one's thinking this. Like if you're fasting, this is good. So if someone fasts now from the second to the ninth, this is fine. So the second to the seventh, this is fine on Shawwal. Yeah. 3 days, 11, 12, 13. Okay, intention. This is important. Okay, it is obligatory to make an intention to fast each day Ramadan or to fast any day whatsoever. An intention is the firm resolve in the heart to perform a particular act. So as I said, you don't really have to articulate it as it was. You don't have to sit there and say, I intend to fast tomorrow or today, as it were. As long as you know that you're fasting tomorrow, if you made any actions or movements that would indicate fasting tomorrow, this all suffices as an intention. Okay? But now someone makes this a habit. Someone makes it a habit that out of thought, they say, I'm fasting tomorrow. There's no problem in this. This is fine. This applies now to all fasting days. So even if you're fasting a nafil fast, if you're doing expiation, if you're doing qada, you have to have an intention. There's no such thing as someone just didn't eat and they hit Maghrib, mashallah, this was a rewarding day. No, it's not. Worship requires intention. The intention for a Ramadan fast, a specifically vowed fast, and a supererogatory fast is to be made at some point between sunset on the previous night and the Islamic midday. This is loaded. Okay, Ramadan fast, this is the fard fast that we're all doing right now. A specifically vowed fast, this is different than the general vowed fast. What's the difference? The difference is that, Ya Allah, if this happens, I'll fast 5 days. This is general. As opposed to, Ya Allah, I'm going to fast on, for example, like April the 14th, 2025. This is a specific fast. This is a specifically vowed fast. Okay, or I'll fast the last 10 days of April of this year. This is specifically vowed, as opposed to I'll just fast 10 days. Both are vowed, both have to be done. One, days have been specified for, others, it's been left open. Okay? So in this category right now, we're talking about the specifically vowed fast, the ones which have days appended to them. And the supererogatory fast, this is a fast on any day otherwise. So if you want to fast now, some day after Ramadan, then in all of these cases, as long as you made an intention after Maghrib up until the Islamic midday, this would suffice. Any intention for fasting. Do you have to say Ramadan fast? Do you have to say Val fast? Do you have to say supererogatory fast? No. Why is that the case? If you now say I'm fasting, the default is supererogatory, i.e. nafil. Now this is extra. If you do this and you had specified the day beforehand as a vowed fast, like I am going to fast on April 15th, as it were, 2025, and then on the day of, you simply just make a generic fast, this is fine for the specified fast. Why? Because you already specified the day for it. So this upgrades your intention by virtue of the day. And finally, the same thing happens in Ramadan. If someone now today made an intention for fasting, but in their head somehow, like let's say someone woke up on the first of Ramadan and for some reason they had no idea it was Ramadan and they made an intention to fast. This is automatically considered a fard fast. Why? Because there can be no other fast on this day. Like if all the conditions apply to you, then it's not possible any other fast manifests. So this is why any intention suffices for the Ramadan fast, for the supererogatory fast, and for the specified vowed fast. For the Shafi'iyya, by the way, they say this fast, the intention has to happen before Fajr comes in, okay? Not at midday. This is important distinction. As I mentioned before, they commonly give the fatwa that if you forgot to make the intention, then you just take the Hanafi opinion. Okay. What's Islamic midday? Islamic midday is from the beginning of Fajr till Maghrib. It's not sunrise to sunset. That's just midday. Okay, midday is sunrise to sunset. That's the point after Dhuhr starts. But Islamic midday is referring to Fajr to Maghrib. It's a little bit earlier. Very slight difference. So one starts at sunrise, one starts at Fajr. Very slightly different. Okay. Any generic or specified intention to fast is valid from Ramadan, as we mentioned, except in the case of a traveler or a sick person who intends a mandatory fast. Why? So any generic or specified intention to fast is valid for the month of Ramadan, as we just discussed, except in the case of a traveler or a sick person who intends a mandatory fast. So they have to make a specific intention. Why? Any guesses? Let's see who's paying attention. All these guys don't even say anything. Any ideas? Yes. Very good. So this is why if someone's traveling now, like you're in the state of travel and Fajr comes in, you have to specifically intend to fast Ramadan, which everyone does, by the way. Once again, we said everyone has this intention very clear anyway. It's not a big deal. But conceivably, if they made an intention for a voluntary fast in Ramadan while traveling, it's possible. Some of the ulama validated this. They said this is possible. Why? Because the fard fast is not due upon them in this moment, as it were. So once again, don't be so caught up on the fact that how the intention manifests. As long as you have, like someone asked you, are you fasting? You said yes. This is enough. Are you fasting tomorrow? And in your mind, you would have said yes. This is fine. This is enough of intention. It is obligatory to make an intention for makeup fast, unspecified vowed fast, and expiatory fast at some point between sunset and true dawn. So for these fasts, qada, the general vows, so general vows are, I'm fasting 10 days for Allah. I vow to fast 10 days for Allah, and you didn't specify a day. So in all of these cases, and expiations, kafara, all of these you have to make the intention prior to Fajr. Otherwise, this would just be a general fast. So someone to do qada, and they woke up and it's like, 11 a.m. and they want to fast now, they can't make it a qada. They can't make it any of these. It has to be a general fast. These ones, the entire day has to be specified for the fast prior to the fast itself. These are specified. Okay. A little bit technical, but the takeaway is you have to have an intention. Okay, we'll do invalidators now. You guys want to take a few minutes off? Take a break. Get a breather. Wash your face. Do some jumping jacks. Yeah, do your jumping jacks for like 3 minutes. Don't do it for 3 minutes. They say it's makruh to do anything which makes the fast difficult. They mention it's makruh if you do something which makes your fast difficult. So don't be excessive. He's young. Good man, nice to see you. How's your program going?
Having to work on it while not able to focus.
Yeah.
Finishing schedule. I had to administer the stuff to the patient.
Oh.
And I have to write
What's your message on again?
patient. But what are you doing now? What are we having it from? Right?
What's that?
You look for-
I want steel. I want steel.
So we're going for somewhere near there. And then we're gonna go for Tarawih. Is that how it's going on? Is there a restaurant near your masjid? Near your home?
Listen, I can't. I told mom I was coming today.
Is your
It's
mom?
risky. Huh?
You told your mom?
My wife.
Your wife. Oh yeah, that's so
I
kind of
I have it on the calendar which days I'm at home, so like, I have to be consistent.
I know that.
Because I think on Wednesday, like, I'm somewhere else. Like, Wednesday's McMaster.
Yeah, where?
Wednesday's McMaster.
Every Wednesday or just
No, this
this Wednesday? Okay, I got you.
Thursday's like some other place, so it's like I like to.
Yeah, you're away a lot this week.
Yeah. So it's. Yeah. And then it's like if I didn't tell, if I told them, if I didn't tell them, if I told them before they wouldn't cook or whatever. Right? So now it's like they ready.
They're preparing the food.
Yeah.
I understand. Another day in Shawwal.
Okay, come back. Yes. I don't want to watch the Zoom anyways. Yeah. Yeah.
But you know how in Ramadan, if you like take photos, you can't eat it because you're living past the person. That's the case for the 60 days. Because technically,
This is why anyone who crispy doesn't manifest on them. They say even someone who's traveling and come back and they're no longer traveling, they also do attack. Or someone who's sick, now they're not sick, they do attack. Even if it's like 4 hours, 2 hours, whatever it is.
because it's wrong.
You guys come back. Enough jumping jacks. Come back. I'm just assuming the Zoom people are back too. Let's can't do anything about that. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We were at now invalidators. So for invalidators, he says, any discernible substance which enters the body cavity through a recognized orifice and remains therein independently without being connected to something exterior, and there is no legitimate excuse for the occurrence, invalidates the fast. This is a very fancy way of saying, if anything enters the body and stays there, it breaks the fast. Food or not food. Okay? Obviously, this is intentional. This is intentional. So we said body cavity. Classically, they imagine the body cavity to be like the torso area, the torso stomach, and the head. This is why the mouth, the nose, the ears, the anal cavity, and the vaginal cavity were all included. And as you mentioned, if someone had like a hole in their side, in their abdomen, then this would also be included. And some of the ulama now have considered the fact that the ears aren't connected necessarily to the stomach. They don't have no connection to the throat, nasal, this system. So therefore, they have excused something like that, but this is a point of ikhtilaf. If you want to take that opinion as possible, classically, they would cause anything which enters the body, any of these areas, to be nullifying of the fast. Remains therein independently. So if someone put something in their mouth, then took it out, then this will not invalidate the fast. Put something in your ears, put something in your nose, like a tissue, for example, and it did not remain therein, did not enter the cavity of the body, this would not invalidate the fast. He says, there is no legitimate excuse for the occurrence. So this is like, they say, like if you're walking through an area with a lot of smoke or dust or like tiny bugs, something like this entered your body and it was unavoidable, this would be excusable. Otherwise, even consuming something which is non-food would break the fast. As you mentioned, like eating a pebble would still break the fast. Smoke also breaks the fast. Okay, smoke breaks the fast. However, it's not like if you walk past a smoking person, it breaks the fast. What they're imagining now to break the fast is, if you think about, those cartoons where they open like the lid of the food and then the steam comes up and the person like puts like sniffs literal like and it goes into their nostril. This is what they're imagining. Like that you can see the smoke, you can see the steam as it were, whatever it is, and that enters your body. Not just like there is smoke in the air or something like that. Right? That they want to determine a discernible body. Yeah. So this is the same thing. Classically, everyone would say this breaks the fast. Classically. But now people are saying things like, medically speaking, it doesn't really enter the stomach. It depends. It's not food, as it were. These are like modern interpretations, but classically, everyone says this breaks the fast. Anything which enters, because if you now press the inhaler, there is a discernible body which exits. Yes. So because this enters the body now, it breaks the fast. So if you take that opinion now, like it's possible, but the more cautious, the more traditional opinion is that it would break the fast. Anything would break the fast like that. Yeah. Question? Yeah, exactly. And if someone now wasn't sure, like some days they're okay, some days not okay, we would simply say the days where they have to break the fast is still rewarding for them. Like they still attain the reward, and they make up the fast when they can. No problem. No one's like sinful for like being sick. That's it. Way. Yeah. Yeah, as long as it's not like, as long as there's no discernible body of steam or sense and whatnot which enter the body. This is what's being, the example I just gave was about like the cartoon where you see like the smoke like goes into the nostrils when they're sniffing it up. This is what's being talked about here. Not just like there's smoke in the air or something present in the air. Yes. This is makruh. This is makruh. Like it's not allowed. No, they say this is allowed if you're like, typically a lady's cooking now. They say if the lady's husband is going to like be harmful, like oppressive or beat her or something for not having good food, they say you can taste the food, no problem. We can't just be like tasting the food, mashallah, the biryani's so good today. Can't wait to eat this in 2 hours. Like, no, this is not reasonable. Otherwise, if it's someone's job now, like someone's a cook, and they're working, it's conceived as possible for them to taste and then spit out. But to taste with no reason, this is makruh. This is not allowed. No, it's not good for good enough reason. Fix it after the fast opens. But once again, they say like if someone's husband or someone's like father or something like this is oppressive, obviously like this is then a reasonable excuse to forego something like that and to taste if they need to. What about vaccines or IV? This is fine. Why are vaccines and IV fine? Because this does not enter the body cavity, as it were. You should be aware now that in modern day there is like the sciencey fiqh, as it was. It's like considering other realities. These are two different worlds. The Sharia manifests in its own way. If you want to consider those things, it's possible. Some ulama have, some ulama have not. Okay, but those are two separate things. The Sharia manifests in and of itself. The fast is nullified by actual intercourse or ejaculation caused by a physical stimulant. Actual intercourse, again, as we mentioned, is the disappearance of the head of the male genitalia in the vaginal cavity. Okay, this would invalidate the fast. Not ejaculation here, just the disappearance. This would invalidate the fast. This also entails ghusl immediately. Or ejaculation caused by a physical stimulant. So if it is masturbation or anything which is physical, not dark masturbation, but if like someone is being touched otherwise, and it leads to ejaculation, this would still cause the fast to be invalidated. Otherwise, someone ejaculated purely based off of audible or visual stimulants, this does not invalidate the fast. Okay. This is important. For some reason, people are quite confused on this. So vomiting, generally speaking, does not invalidate the fast. Someone vomits, this is fine, no problem. Vomiting invalidates the fast when it is a mouthful and induced, meaning you do it on purpose. If someone causes themselves to vomit, this breaks the fast. Otherwise, if someone vomits, there is no issue. Okay? Someone vomits, there's no issue. So if it's induced, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter now whether someone swallowed it or not. It came out or not. If it is a mouthful just means such that it has enough force to exit the mouth. You couldn't keep it in the mouth. This would break the fast. Okay. Otherwise, now if it is spontaneous means it just happened. You didn't induce it. Then this would only break the fast if you swallowed the vomit deliberately. So now you vomited, and for some reason, there's some left over in your mouth. Instead of spitting it out, someone swallowed it, and they did this whilst knowing they were fasting, i.e. deliberately. This would break the fast. But generally, now someone vomited, this would have no consequence on the fast. This breaks the wudu, right? This breaks the wudu, not the fast. This would only break the fast now if it was done on purpose or it was done and then deliberately swallowed while knowing you were fasting. If they swallowed it and they didn't know they were fasting, this is like forgetful eating now. Okay? Yes. Yeah, this is nothing. Nothing. Yeah. Yeah, intentional. So if you swallowed the vomit and in the moment of swallowing you remembered you were fasting, yes, this would break the fast. This is like accidental eating, as it were. Okay? So if you swallow anything ever, vomit or not, and you're aware you're fasting, this would break the fast, right? It's the same thing. The only thing here is because it's accidental, as it were. Like you didn't deliberately like try and swallow it, yet you remembered you were fasting, this would break the fast accidentally. So you wouldn't be liable for it, you wouldn't incur sin for this, you just have to make it up. No. The 60-day one is very specific. It has to be food. It has to be food you eat. If someone eats a rock on purpose, this is only qada. This is not food. But technically speaking, they say if someone eats rocks and they eat a rock, then this would be 60 days. Okay, it's technical. Like if someone likes eating paper, for example, like they eat paper all the time for whatever reason, and they were to eat paper, then this would be like food for them because they desired it. Right? Otherwise, if someone did something, ate something which is not food, then this would not cause 60 days. The Shafi'iyya said only intercourse is what causes 60-day expiation. By the way, if that happens, you should just seek fatwa. Like if you ever are in a case where you think you have to give 60 days, don't just start fasting 60 days. Okay, this happened to someone and I asked him what he did and it was clearly not an issue of 60 days. It was only one day. And he said it was a really hard time. So this is why these things is for like your exposure to get you oriented. If this actually happens, you go seek a fatwa, you ask someone who knows and you tell them what happened exactly. And the idea is they try and determine a doubt to uplift the issue from you. This is like the had, as it were. Okay. This is clear. Vomiting is clear. Don't confuse this one. Vomiting breaks the wudu in all cases. Vomiting, whether on purpose or accidental, that breaks the wudu on purpose, but it only breaks the fast if it's done intentionally or swallowed intentionally. Okay. Question? Like, so someone, yeah, this is fine. I mean, they say you have to now consider if someone is younger, they say don't do this because the chances of you now, someone being with their spouse and then going down that route, permissible things, right, rewarding things even. But if it leads down to break your fast, like kissing, fondling, as it were, and all those things, this is all fine. But conceivably now, if someone is younger, they mention younger. Why? Because if you're younger, you have less control over yourself, as it were. So it might lead to breaking the fast, which is obviously going to be a hassle. It's going to be a problem. It's better to avoid this. right? But if someone now knows, like they know themselves, they know their spouse, not going to cause any issues, no problem. This is fine. This might be rewarding, right? If someone does it with the correct intention, it'll be rewarding as it were. Okay. If a Ramadan fast is invalidated, one must continue to abstain, imsak, from the invalidators for the remaining of the fasting day. So just because someone has now invalidated their fast, it doesn't mean they can now start eating and drinking. There are two reasons for this. The first reason is that they might just be mistaken. Like possibly now they think it's invalidated, but it's not actually invalidated. This is why we said you have to seek fatwa, you have to ask someone. The second reason now is that there is a hurma, there is ihtiram of the day. For Ramadan now, if someone is able to fast and all the conditions apply and manifest upon them, and they are not fasting, they are still required to abstain from eating and drinking. So what's an example of this? Someone who was sick, they didn't fast, but at 12 p.m. or let's say 2 p.m., they feel much better. Now they can fast. But they weren't fasting, so they still abstain for the rest of the day. They still abstain for the rest of the day. The Shafi'iyya say this is mustahab, Hanafiya say this is wajib. The Hanafiya say this is wajib. I.e. that once you no longer have an excuse, i.e. before you were sick, or before you were menstruating, or before you were traveling, but now that excuse is no longer manifesting, what do you do now? You act like the fasting person. Okay? Okay, expiations. Yes. Sorry, say that on what, sorry? Okay, okay. Excusable. Why? Because you conceivably you're not expected to shield yourself from the rain. Like something which you cannot control. Because they mentioned now if you eat like a fly just flies into your mouth, or like there's dust in the air, you cannot conceivably avoid all of this. This is possible. This is fine. Excusable. Saliva is always excusable, except in the case that it left the mouth. Yeah. So if someone was like biting a pencil and they like the pencil soaked up their saliva, and then they proceeded to then bite the pencil and then retain or drink up their saliva, this would break the fast. You asked, right? That's a good question. Yeah, because with regards to the mouth, we consider it from when it comes to the internal, we consider it to be within the body. Like when it comes to things like the saliva, it's considered to be within the body. But when it comes to the external, we consider it to be outside the body. So the phlegm issue now is if it comes into the mouth from the throat, then this has to be spit out. Because this is now in the mouth, as it were. And this is not native to the mouth. And it's past now the throat. So if something came up into the throat but didn't enter the mouth, this is excusable. But if it entered the mouth now, this has to be spit out. So like once it's in your mouth, you can't like actually swallow the phlegm again. But nose is excusable because it doesn't enter the mouth, as it were. Like if someone now was to stiff up and like their sinus or whatever, and everything just went up and then down and everything, this is fine. But if they did it with water or some other external substance, this would break the fast. Good. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Yes. No, no. This is native to the nose, as it were. It's native to the nose, as it were. The issue comes within the mouth. The mouth is considered both inside and outside the mouth. Sorry, the mouth is considered both inside and outside the body, as it were. Why? Because when you consider now the body and you consider something like saliva, you would say clearly this is within the mouth, this is within the body. But if you consider now eating something or drinking something or washing even your mouth for ghusl, as it were, this is considered outside the body. So there's two perspectives on this. So it depends on like the specific circumstance. Anything coming out from anything coming which is not native to the mouth externally, then this would be considered something which has to be spit out. But if it's saliva, which is native to the mouth, this would be considered as within the body. There is question, yeah. So if you unintentionally swallowed water, it depends if you are at that moment aware you're fasting or not. So if you're making wudu and you're rinsing the mouth and you drank a bunch of water, but you didn't remember you're fasting, this is excusable. This is like forgetful eating and drinking. But if you drank the water accidentally whilst you were aware you were fasting, then this would break the fast. So this returns now to you have to be aware you're fasting to break the fast. So is this conceivably, as we said, that if someone that had like a 5-course meal with appetizer and entrees and the main course and dessert and chai and tea and everything, and they didn't remember they were fasting, this is all excusable. They didn't remember it. But now if someone drank water accidentally, we have to ask them, the moment you drank the water, did you remember you were fasting? Were you aware you were fasting? Because if you weren't, this is just you forgetfully drank water now. Yeah, but the drop, whether you drink it or not, is not whether um the key component now is whether you knew you were fasting at that moment. Because it's either now forgetfully drinking or it's accidentally drinking. If you didn't know you were fasting, this is forgetful. This is excusable. If you knew you were fasting and then a drop went down, this is considered the fast is broken because you were aware you're fasting and you were to eat something or drink something. But this will not be sinful because this is an accident. Yes, you have to redo this fast if you were aware at the time. Yes. Yeah, I don't remember the hand order. So so if it's already in the throat, as it were, and it's not in the mouth, it's just inexcusable. It's excusable. You don't have to bring it out, as it were. We're talking about once the phlegm is literally in your mouth and you can like spit it out like easily, like it's in the mouth. If it's just in your throat, excuse this. You don't think about this. We're talking about this a discernible like body in your mouth now as phlegm. It's not like, as it were, mixed in something or connected to the throat, as it were. We're talking about in the mouth, like alone, as it were, just there. Yes. Question? No, you guys, what do you want? Yeah. Yeah, it's a break fast. Doesn't matter the amount. The amount is insignificant. The amount is insignificant for accidental breaking. This is why we say even a small pebble would break the fast. But this is why in wudu they say don't become excessive when you're making wudu while you're fasting. You can also look downwards if you'd like when you do the rinsing of the mouth, the imam Allah, as it were. You take the you minimize the water. It's not fard, right? Washing the mouth is not fard in wudu. So if you don't do it like to the highest degree, as it were, or somebody even forgot it, this would be excusable. Your wudu is still valid. So just don't like gargle and like your head's up here and everything. Like keep your head down, a small amount of water, spit out just once. So you spit out only once. You spit out only once. Don't spit out 17 times. Oh, but the molecules of water, no one cares. As I said, the scientific world is someplace and the Sharia is in its own manifestation. So you spit out once, it doesn't matter that you have the remnants of the water in your saliva. This is not a consideration. Once you spit out once, this is fine. If you spit out 17 times, we have waswasa, okay? Stop spitting out so many times, spit out once, move on with your life. This is why they said to rinse your mouth for no reason is makruh. Because why? It's like secretly drinking water. What about accidentally drinking mouthwash or toothpaste? Anything enters the body or the mouth, sorry, anything enters the body and remains within breaks the fast if you do it intentionally. Or you do it whilst you're aware you are fasting accidentally. Okay, so whether mouthwash or toothpaste, these would also break the fast if they enter the body. Anything. This is why it's best to refrain. Just brush your teeth before Fajr and after Maghrib. Before you go to the masjid, or after Salah, just brush your teeth. And before Suhoor, when you wake up in the morning, just brush your teeth. If you do brush your teeth, then use minimal toothpaste. Look down, as it were. Don't swallow anything. If you swallow anything, it breaks the fast. If you swallow anything and you don't remember you're fasting, then what? If you swallowed toothpaste and you did not remember you're fasting, then what? Excusable. This is nothing because you remember. You could drink the whole glass of Gatorade if you wanted to, forgetfully. So be excusable. But if you were brushing your teeth, and to be honest, most of us, when brushing our teeth, we're very hyper focused on the fact you're fasting, right? It's very present to you that I'm fasting. So it's like, just don't be too risky. Like, it's better if you just refrain from this. But if you were to do this, then minimize the amount of toothpaste, mouthwash, everything you're using, minimize this. Don't gargle like with your mouth up. Just swish in your mouth and then move on. Okay. If a morally responsible person deliberately invalidates a fast in Ramadan by fulfilling the desire of the stomach or private organ fully, and there is no legally absolving excuse or doubt found, then an expiation is required in addition to the makeup qada. This is now talking about the expiation, or the kafara rather, which is 60 days. This only happens if you invalidate a fast of Ramadan, not a fast of qada or otherwise, only Ramadan. So now if someone is making a qada fast up and they break this fast, this does not apply to them. They have to just do qada of that, like just you have to repeat that qada. The only time the expiation manifests is if you do this during Ramadan or a Ramadan fast that you are fasting. This is fulfilling the desire of the stomach, which is eating something you desire, which is food. And very technically speaking, if someone desired paper and ate paper, this would also count. Or the private organ fully, which means complete entrance, as we had mentioned before. Okay, and there is no legally absolving excuse or doubt, shubha, found within. So this is why I mentioned that you have to ask someone, because you may think that you owe the expiation, but you may not. This is why you get a fatwa. You ask someone, I did this XYZ happened. Do I have to make now the expiation or not? And they might give you a reason not to. The asl is you always try to distance the expiation. You try and distance the hudud, all of them. Question? Question? Well, were you bad at that point? Were you bad at, like, were you an adult? Yeah, so most likely this is nothing. Yeah. So so children, as it were, children are not reached bulugh. So children, as we said, what constitutes someone being baligh? For the man, it is a wet dream. For a lady, it is menstruation. So after that point, now all your actions are, they can be fulfilling the fara'id. Before this, everything you do is simply rewarding Salah nawafil. This is why children can't lead prayer, because they cannot intend a fard. How do we set the intention to fast in Ramadan? How do we set the intention? Well, the example we gave is that, I think this is a very clear example, that if someone now wanted to make coffee in the morning, no one says, I'm making coffee. No one like announces it. No one writes it down, as it were. What do? You simply make your way to the coffee machine and you make coffee. The act of getting up, the act of turning towards the coffee machine, the act of buying coffee, the act of thinking about it, all of this is all indicative of intention. So if someone now, at any point, set an alarm, took out food for suhoor, thought about fasting tomorrow, this is all indicative of intention. If someone asked you, are you fasting tomorrow? And you said yes, this is intention. Do you necessarily have to sit there and say, I intend to fast a Ramadan fast for sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tomorrow, the day of, etc. You know, it's not required. If you do this, it's fine, no problem. Like this is obviously very clear. As we said, if you'd like to do this, you can simply at iftar time, you simply say, I intend to fast tomorrow. If you want to do this is fine. But once again, as long as you know you're fasting tomorrow, it's clearly in your mind, in your heart, this is fine. You don't have to say it out loud, as it were. You don't have to write it down or anything like this. Okay? The intention has to be done prior to the Islamic midday or the Fajr, according to the Shafi'iyah. Shafi'iyah say before midday, before Fajr. The Ahnaf say prior to the midday. If it was done after that, the fast would not be valid. The expiation is followed by a qada. So you have to do the expiation and then also a qada. So someone now ate food deliberately whilst they were fasting and they're baligh and everything is there, then they would have to make 60 days up, the expiation, and then also 1 day for the qada. The ulama, by the way, they say that this is indicative of the weight of the fard fast. That one fard fast is equivalent to 60 days of fasting, as it were. This is indicative of the weight of the fard fast, yes. I mean, they can only break a fast once. So either they're right the first time or right the second time, or they're just wrong both times. So this is why we say that if someone breaks their fast, this doesn't mean you start eating and drinking. Why? Because you could have just been wrong. This happens all the time, by the way. Like someone messaged me recently, they said, I found hair in my mouth, so I think my fast is broken. It's like, no, you're fine. Spit out your hair, move on. But if someone now thinks that they broke their fast because they found hair in their mouth or whatever, they swallowed hair, they think they swallowed hair, then they broke their fast, then this is a problem, right? Because it was valid. There's no reason to break it. But you can only break it once. So if you broke the fast once, now you're out of the fast, like legally speaking. Ihtiraman, you do not eat and drink out of respect of the day of fasting. So it will just be a problem to eat and drink, but it doesn't affect the fast anymore because the fast is gone. Only one breaking. Yes. No, this is a ruqsa, as it were. You just do one expiation and then all the qada. So 60 plus like 4 days of broken fasts. But they say the asal, like the reality should have been 240 fast plus 4. Right? But this is like a means of ease. The expiation is to fast 2 full lunar months or 60 consecutive days. So if you fast 2 lunar months and both of them happen to be 28 days, this is 29 days. This is fine. But only 58 fast is fine because you did 2 full lunar months. Or if you're not doing months, you can just do 60 consecutive days. Both are fine. Question? Okay, we'll do the purpose at the end, inshallah. That's okay. We actually did pretty well. Kind of ran through this stuff, but I mean, I thought we'd be stuck on time for like 2 forever. Okay, 60 consecutive days if you omit the beginning at the start of a lunar month. So if you don't start at the beginning of a month, you have to just do 60 days. These days cannot contain the days of Eid, the 2 days of Eid, which is Shawwal, 1st of Shawwal, 10th of Dhul Hijjah, nor the 3 days following Eid al-Adha, known as the days of Tashriq, 11th, 12th, 13th of Dhul Hijjah. So if any of these days now come in these 60 days, 60 days have to be begun again. Okay? If anyone has to do this, they have to sit down and consider now if 60 days are going to conflict with Eid, and then they should plan accordingly. Yes. Not considered. So if someone just didn't fast, they'd have to start again, regardless of sickness or not. The only legitimate excuse is menstruation. Why? Because this is considered like it's not due upon them anymore. They're just uplifted from that responsibility or the ability to fast, as it were. Otherwise, if you're sick, just plan not to get sick. In 60 days, and you'll be okay. If one does not complete the 60 days, whether due to miscalculation, forgetfulness, sickness, or otherwise, one must restart from day one. An interruption due to menstruation is excusable as long as she continues her fasting immediately after it ends. This is what we just said. If a person is unable to fast the expiation due to a chronic illness or old age, the duty to expiate is fulfilled by feeding 64 persons 2 meals or by paying them the monetary equivalent of that. So this is the issue of chronic illness. So if someone can never fast, like they have diabetes to the degree that they can never fast, no matter what time of year it is, then they would be excused from fasting. This is not talking about someone who is sick for, let's say, 2 months or 2 years or even 20 years. If they ever attained enough health and time to make up those fasts, they would be required to do so. Even if they paid off like the expiation as it were already. That is bisadqana. Like for some reason someone couldn't fast, so they paid off the expiation. And then 20 years from now, they develop a new medicine which cures you. Now you can fast, you have to fast now. It's very unlikely, as it were. But similarly, if someone cannot fast, it's not as if now, no, I can't fast this summer, so I'm going to just pay off the expiation, as it were. This is not plausible until you can never fast. So it's conceivable now someone cannot fast in the summer months, but they could fast in the winter months. So they would just wait till the winter to fast. Similarly, like if a lady now is pregnant or she's breastfeeding, it's possible that in the winter months she could fast. It's not like a given. You have to see, is it going to affect your health? Is it going to affect the child's health? Is it going to lead to complications, as it were? Then you don't fast, obviously. But is it conceivable now that a lady fasts while she's pregnant in the winter months? This is possible. Why? Because she's eating at like 6 a.m., as it were, a good healthy meal. And then at like 4:45, she's eating again. And she eats all night. This is fine. Similarly, now, if someone can fast one day and then skip a day and then fast another day because of their sickness, this is also required from them. The lady can fast one day. Second day is too hard to fast in a row. She skips the day, fasts the day after, and she only makes up 15 fasts after when she is like, giving birth or whatever, or stops breastfeeding. In sickness, it's not just like a free-for-all. You can't just be like, oh, I feel a little bit bad, therefore I'm not going to fast. You have to consider now if the possibility to fast, rather, is going to manifest later. The expiatory fast and missed fast are not due immediately. So someone missed fast and they don't make it up immediately, this is excusable. When is it due by? Anyone know? I think someone did. So you say it? This is the Shafi'i opinion. Shafi'i say if you don't make it up by next Ramadan, then you have to give a penalty. And then similarly, if you next Ramadan, you have to keep doing it. And Hanafi opinion is what? Death. Before death. So as long as you do your fast before death, you're fine. Aisha famously would delay her Qadha fast to do the Shawwal fast. And she would delay it extensively. So as long as you make up the fast before dying, you're fine. But if you die, it should be in your will. I didn't make up like 17 fast. Please pay the kafara for me. This is how wills function. You all should have a will. Questions? Were there questions? Yes. Say that again. So if the number of days manifested such that you could have physically fasted, like let's say you missed 7 fasts from Ramadan, and then you lived 7 days after Eid, then you would have been required to fast these 7 days. And you died on the 8th day, but you didn't fast, then this is liable upon you. But if you died on Eid, 7 days, you don't have to fast for 7 days because the days never manifested upon you such that you could fast. That makes sense? So now if you live beyond 7 days and you died some point later, like in the year, you should have written it down somewhere in your will that I had 7 fasts to make up. So please pay the kafara now for me from my estate. Yes. This is fine. Yeah. Hey, hopefully someone does it for you. Yes. This is the like someone should you instruct somebody or you put it in your will or something. Otherwise, then you have to owe these. Yes. then you have to answer to Allah. These are due upon you. The salah, the fasting, zakat is due upon you. If you don't do these things, then we say the person is punishable in the fire. This is it. This is why these things are important. This is why everything you guys do is fun and nice in your programs and everything. Just pray and fast though. There's no excuse for praying and fasting. If you didn't live the 7 days, then you never had the ability to make up the fast. So they don't do upon you. So someone was sick now for like the entirety of Ramadan, they couldn't fast, and they were sick for the next month after, and then they died. None of this is due upon them because they were never healthy to fast. So the ability never manifested upon them. Right? Yes. Then 40s are due. Yeah. Yes. Okay. You cannot combine intentions. So you cannot do nafil and fard fast at the same time. So you only do qada or you do nafil. If you want to do the shawwal fast, fine. But you can't do shawwal fast, qada fast. Not a thing. One or the other. If someone wanted to do the qada fast, but they had shawwal, and so they want to do shawwal fast, and then they delayed the qada fast, this is fine. This is fine. Okay, good. Yeah, correct. Reasons for breaking the fast. If one is sick or traveling, sorry, I always I check this chat periodically, so I just miss your guys' answers. If one is sick or traveling, one may postpone the Ramadan fast. So one is sick. What did I say? Sickness is such that fasting would worsen the sickness, or fasting would delay the recovery. In these cases, you can forgo the fast. Otherwise, just because you feel a little bit bad doesn't mean you can forgo the fast. It has to either delay the sickness recovery or it has to make the sickness worse. How do you know this? You have to know this either through prior experience, like you every year you get sick once a year and you know it always does, like it's this bad or whatever, and you really need to take this medicine. If you don't take this medicine, you'll get worse. This is prior experience. This is reasonable. Or you seek a upright Muslim doctor who gives you a fatwa, as it were. Can you go to Dr. John and ask Dr. John that, hey, can I fast tomorrow? And he says, don't fast. This has no consequence, Shara'an. Just like you can't ask Dr. John, which way can I pray? If he tells you this is the Qibla, this has no consequence. You have to do your own investigation. When it comes to Khabar Shar'i, it has to be from a Muslim. But you can ask your fast, you can ask your doctor now, if I fast, will it be harmful for my health? And he might tell you, yes, it'll be detrimental for your health. Then you have this knowledge, you can go to like a sheikh or whatever and ask them, I do this. Doctor said it'll be detrimental for my health. And then you can have an answer that way. But you can't ask them, or you can't leverage them as a basis for not fasting. Leverage them as a basis for information. Yes. Yeah. So people know migraines. People have migraines, know migraines, right? So they know like when is it coming? What are the indications? How bad is it going to get? So if someone now knows that the migraine is starting, but it's going to take like 3 hours to get to like the climax, as it were, and it's only 2 hours for the thought, it's like possible that you just wait. But if it's like 11 a.m. and the migraine is starting and you're gonna like lose your mind for the next 7 hours, it's like, yeah, this is reasonable. Like that you're gonna have like suffer, you're gonna have pain and stuff as you're suffering. No one, the Sharia never expects you to suffer, as it were. So this is fine. Mm. I don't think so. You know the issue of if someone is telling you to renounce Islam, they're gonna kill you if you don't. The rukhsa is you do what? You renounce Islam outwardly. Yes? To tell you to say whatever, you say whatever. You eat pork, alcohol, whatever, you do it with dislike. But internally, you remain Muslim. But this is the rukhsa. The azima is you die. But this is not the same thing. I think this is just something to be thought about. But I'm leaning towards no. Because as it were, the Sharia doesn't expect you to suffer. That's different. Like that's about Iman. This is now, if someone is sick and would bearing through sickness attain them more reward? Conceivably, if it worsens the sickness, then this might be blameworthy, right? Because now they're increasing in sickness. It might be blameworthy. So I don't see why we could affirm more reward for suffering. Talking about suffering, migraines are pretty bad. Right? Migraines are pretty bad, as it were. And as we said, this is the case of if you don't take the medicine, the sickness prolongs. If you just take the pill, as it were, you'll be fine in an hour or two. Most people with migraines figure it out because they have a lot of experience. Yes. Yeah, a pain or someone like just like to recover, you have to have nutrients, right? You have to be eating, drinking, hydrated. You have to eat. Now, if someone's not drinking and eating and they're recovering from something, then they'll have to recover for a long period of time. Like someone is sick, someone fell ill, just by eating and drinking and sleeping properly, you'd get better in a day or two. But now someone forgoes eating and drinking, and they push themselves, then they get sick, and then they remain in this prolonged state of like recovery. This is not required from them. You just take one day off, you get better, you get back to the work. Traveling, as we said, traveling means you leave your city boundaries before Fajr, intending to travel the minimum travel distance. Once again, traveling means that you are outside your city boundaries. So outside of Mississauga, as it were, or Brampton or Oakville, wherever you live, outside your city boundaries prior to Fajr, intending to travel the travel distance. Travel distance is in the Ahnaf, it's like 70, 71, 75, 74, 78, and 80. Shafi'i is 81. It's like an approximate thing. Idea is if you're now traveling to this distance, beyond this distance, then you can forgo the fast if you leave prior to Fajr. If you're leaving at 2 p.m., you have to fast. You have to fast. The next day, if you're still traveling now, you have a choice. You have a choice. Generally, they say now that traveling, it is superior to fast if you can fast. But if you forgo it, there's no issue in foregoing the fast while traveling. Yes. The moment the Maghrib comes in upon you at any moment in time, even in the air. Yeah, it doesn't matter, it takes 3 hours or 2 or 20 seconds. The moment the Maghrib manifests upon you, because the fast is not, I'm fasting today, the fast is the fast of March 17, 2025. The moment the sunset of this day comes upon you, this fast is done. Even if now you were to like take off and then go against the sun and then like the sun reappears, you don't have to fast again. Why? Because the fast is already done for you. This is also why if you prayed Asr, you got on a plane, you prayed Asr, and you died. No, it's fine. Asr Maghrib, you got on a plane, and then the plane took off and you went against the sunset. And now you see the sun come up again. This is possible, by the way. It's not Asr again. You don't have to pray Asr again. Why? Because you've already prayed the Asr of today. It's not just Asr, it's Asr of this specific day, March 17th, as it were. This is also why when you make up fast and you make up prayers, you're making up these specific days. Like when you make up a fast now, you're actually making up like March 18th, as it were. You can also just say the first fast due, or the second fast today, or the third fast, or the earliest fast, or the most recent fast. Any of these things are fine. Okay. Oh yeah, we have it right here. Why did I mention this? Okay, sickness refers to three things: actual inability, an increase in sickness, or delay in recovery. So this is obvious one, right? If someone is sick such that they cannot fast, like they're so sick they cannot fast, then this is excusable. An increase in sickness such that not eating and drinking would make you more sick. This is the case of like blood sugar and the like, or delay in recovery. We talked about this. And all of these things, genuine harm is established by a Muslim expert physician who is not openly religiously corrupt. So you have to ask the Muslim doctor. Dr. Sharik is a good option. He's here sometimes for Jumu'ah, right? So he's like a trained medical doctor. He's also trained sheikh. So you just ask him, just text him. Otherwise, if you don't have a Muslim doctor, you ask a regular doctor about the consequences, and then you see the consequences, you go to your sheikh, tell him this is what the situation is, and then you see. Once again, if someone can fast one day and then skip a day because they're too sick and then fast the other day, this is also possible. This is especially possible with a lady who's pregnant or breastfeeding. Because people will say this, they don't fast while you're pregnant and breastfeeding, but then you have to make up like 30 fasts. It's a lot of fasts. And it's much easier to fast when everyone else is fasting and everyone else is doing a thought and sword and everything. Otherwise, you're just on your own. I have like 40 fasts to make. It's a very common sentiment, actually. It's very hard. So if someone can fast and it doesn't affect, obviously it doesn't harm the baby, it doesn't harm the lady, this is fine. This is good. Expected to fast. Right? But if it harms the baby, if you're fasting in August, as it were, like no one expects you to fast 16, 18 hours, this is going to be harmful. Don't do this. But it's winter. It's like only a shorter fast. This is possible. And to be honest, very technically speaking, if it is such that she would not be harmed whatsoever by fasting, and she forgoed the fasting, this is sinful. Because she's just not fasting and she can fast. Right? So it's not a like free for all general rule. Everyone with this condition can just not fast on that. You have to see now and see how it manifests upon you. This is why it also says clear and obvious signs of harm or past relevant experience. So if you've been sick before, if you have migraines before, all of these things, this is indication enough for you to take, such that you can say that this is going to be harmful for me. I'm not going to fast. Travels must be outside the city limits at the time of true dawn, Fajr, and until sunset, Maghrib, for the dispensation of postponing the fast to be applicable to them. We talked about this. Okay, during a fasting day of Ramadan, if a traveler becomes a resident, a sick person becomes well, a menstruating woman becomes ritually pure, a non-Muslim converts to Islam, or a child legally becomes an adult, they must imitate the fasting person until sunset. Why? Why? I actually already told you this answer. Not you, you answer everything. Someone else, I told you the answer already. I'm looking at the chat now too. Why is it that if a traveler becomes a resident, a sick person becomes well, a menstruating woman becomes ritually pure, a non-Muslim converts to Islam, or a child legally becomes an adult, they must imitate the fasting person? Why? Yes. Think about it more generally. Look, sick becomes well. Yes, Mashud? Yeah, your excuse is uplifted now. In all of these cases, the excuse is uplifted. So now you are like a fasting person. So now, احتراما للوقت, like out of veneration, as it were, for the day, you cannot eat and drink because the excuse no longer applies upon you. The Hanafiya say this is wajib, you have to do this. So if you were unwell and you became well, now you have to act like the fasting person. This does not mean now a lady has to like fake waking up in the morning when she's menstruating and like fake fast all day. No, we're talking about in that one day, half day where she is free from menstruating. You don't have to fake fasting otherwise, because you like sometimes this happens in households where no one wants to, like everyone knows, or everyone comes to support. If the lady didn't show up, everyone would know that she's menstruating, so she shows up every single day. People do this sometimes, it's not required. You can just not fast and not show up, you don't have to fake anything. At the same time, if you're eating, then also do it in a way such that it's not visible to other people. Why? Because the ulama, they mention that it is not ever praiseworthy to invite a bad opinion upon the self. So if someone doesn't know that you're menstruating or you're sick or you're traveling, you don't go there like go to the masjid before Maghrib when you're eating like your chicken burger and it's Ramadan, brother, I'm traveling today, it's fine. It's like no, it's not something you do. There's ihtiram. Anyways, so ihtiram of the waqt happens when the excuse is uplifted from you. Then the remaining of the day you have to imitate the fasting person. A makeup fast is also required except in the case of the child and the convert. Make a fast, i.e. the person still has to fast this day in reality later on. If somebody dies before reaching days in which they could have made up their Ramadan fast, the missed fasts are no longer due from them. Otherwise, they must leave a bequest to the extent of the days reached. We mentioned this. Everything's in here. I should have just read everything. But once again, if you missed 10 days of fasting and you only lived for one day after Ramadan, that one day was Eid, you could have never fasted those 10 days, yes? It's impossible. Therefore, not due upon you. If you lived 10 days after Eid or longer, those days were due upon you. So if you die without completing them, you have to leave a wasiyah, you have to leave a bequest in your inheritance, or tell your family or something that I didn't fast these 10 days. Please make sure you pay the kafara for me if I die. Okay. The person who falls unconscious must make up the days of Ramadan they miss, except the day they fell unconscious in, assuming they had an intention and did not have their fast invalidated. So if someone knocks you out and you stayed unconscious until Maghrib, today's fast is fine because you began a legitimate fast and all the conditions were fulfilled. Consciousness is not a condition for fasting. It is for Salah. So if you were unconscious for the remaining of the time, this would suffice for your fast, but subsequent days, it would not count. Like if you were unconscious now for the second day, third day, second, third day don't count because you don't have an intention. You're unconscious. You can't make an intention, therefore you cannot fast. If you got up and made intentions and went back to your unconscious state, this would be possible, but obviously that's not happening. Okay, we'll finish this section. If a person becomes insane and then regains sanity at some point during Ramadan, they must make up their missed fasts. However, if they remain in a state of insanity for the entire month of Ramadan, no make-up fasts are due because they never had the ability to do so. Okay, this is actually important. The person fasting a supererogatory fast may break it for his host or guest only if, now you have this common situation where people fasting supererogatory, Monday, Thursdays, whatever it is. When can you break this fast? It's not for fun, not whatever you want. It is, number one, before Islamic midday. So it has to be prior to midday. So it's not like there's an hour left from Maghrib and you're like, oh, the host wants me to break break my fast, I'm gonna break my fast. No, this is sinful. This is prior to midday. The other condition is that the person inviting you would feel hurt. So if it's like your own mom, you tell your mom, I'm fasting, this is okay, fine. But like someone invited you over and they made like the 7-course meal for you and you're like, oh, I'm fasting. It's like, this is going to be hurtful. It's going to harm them, as it were. This is reasonable to break the fast. And you have to have the firm resolve of making up the fast. Because you started the fast, you have to give this fast down. In these cases, you could break the supererogatory, the voluntary fast, break it during the day. Otherwise, no. Yes. Okay. This completes like the majority actually. What was left here? There's some sunnahs here, and then offensive actions, and then moonsighting, and then tarawih, supplications and tarawih, and then i'tikaf. It's fine. We did the majority of stuff. Alhamdulillah, that was good. I'm happy we covered something. So I'll stick back for any questions. Otherwise, I pray you benefited. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.